Category of fixed instrument that we'll talk about came under the classification of other buried devices. Okay, we've talked about sonar, we talked about sounding rods, the Briscoe monitor, talked about buried or driven rods, the sliding collar device. There was another category of instrument that, for lack of anything better, came under the category of other buried devices, because there's been various attempts to bury things in front of a pier and monitor the scour hole development. This is a very simple device. What it has inside it, it's a buoyant tube, has a radio transmitter inside, and a tilt switch. In this position, it doesn't transmit. When the scour hole reaches it, and this thing floats up, it turns on its side on the surface, activates the tilt switch, which starts the radio transmitter. There's a receiver up here on the bridge deck in the instrument shelter that is just basically on all the time, and it's listening for this thing to talk to it. Very simple. The electronics in it are $400 or $500, not much to it. They were originally used in California on a project that we had, Salinas River, where we took and the reason this is sized the way it is, was it would fit inside a 6-inch hollow stem auger. So you get a drill rig in a dry stream bed, drill down with a hollow stem auger, drop this down the center of the auger, pull the drill stem up, let the hole collapse around it, and the thing's buried. And you could put them in very quickly. We did a couple different ways. You could put one at each pier, or you could put one at 15 feet down and one at 20 feet down on the same pier. So that you got an early warning and then it's time to close the bridge warning if the second one were activated. The wires sticking out of it were simply to keep it inactive until it arrived on site. Because you don't want it has a battery, right? In order for that transmitter to send a signal, it has to be a power source. So there's a lithium battery in here. We don't want to wear that battery out. If it's shipped by UPS to the job site, sitting on its side, right? So just all that is this completes the switch circuit. You'd stuff the wires back in the hole and glue a PVC plug in here, and you're ready to go. Lithium battery, about a 10-year shelf life. So one of the limitations here is that this is a 10-year instrument, and then it's probably not going to work. The primary application of this was in California and in other places where we've seen it used now. Short-term emergency monitoring. They were getting ready to replace that bridge. They didn't want to put a very expensive instrument out there. They just wanted something to kind of monitor what was going on for a couple of years, and then the bridge is going to be torn out, and they put a new bridge in. The other place, and we built them a little differently, had a 6-inch PVC pipe with the end caps glued directly together. So it was almost like a rock. And in fact, it was put in a rock riprap pile to monitor the motion of the rock in Nevada. Heavier pipe, bigger pipe, end caps together. I never tried this, but you could probably drive over it and it wouldn't have crushed. Right? Pretty solid, pretty durable. Bury it in the riprap pile, don't worry about it. If it comes floating up, then you know you have a problem. So, came under the classification of other buried devices. In that same category, you have things like scour chains that have been around for years, where somebody would just bury a chain in the stream bed vertically in an arid area in particular. They'd go out after the flood and they'd see how much of the chain was laid over on the stream bed. Another category, another instrument in that category, other buried device. This is a little more high-tech. Gives you a little better reading of what's going on. You can, again, set it up with a data logger, set it up with telemetry, set it up with a notification method, cell phone, pager, whatever you might want. Because, like I say, once you've gone electronic, you have a lot greater capability for monitoring and recording data.